Hey there, welcome to Fumble Forward, where we explore turning life's imperfect moments into growth moments. I'm Akuya, your host. Get ready to laugh, maybe shed a tear, but most importantly, be inspired to live a life with intention. Let's dive in. All right, hey there. We are here for part 2 of part 3 series called Waiting, What Waiting Reveals. And it's all about waiting, understanding, unpacking it, what it means, what can it mean, all those things. But before I share who we have as an awesome guest today, I want to remind you of some cool news that I shared last week. So we have a texting group for Fumble Forward for you to share your input on episodes, learn about upcoming guests, and get to just know the latest and greatest about this community. So it's really easy to join. All you have to do is text join, JOIN, to the number 877-509-1404. And at best, you can expect a text from me like once a week because I'm still growing this texting group, figuring it out. So don't worry about me bombarding you because that's not going to happen. But I am pumped to bring to you all a really good friend on today's episode as we're talking about how waiting reveals who your true friends are. And so I thought I'd bring a true friend on this episode. And I have known Tyra since college. We both joined Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated together. And since then, we've got to experience so much of life together. And so it's really special today that you all get to experience just a snippet of who Tyra is as she's grinning so huge. And so I just love for you to say hi and share one thing that you love to do on your free time.
Hi, thank you for having me today. Very honored to be here. I feel like Oprah just called me to the stage and it's like, you get a free gift. You get a free gift. So thank you for having me. What I enjoy doing in my free time, I would say definitely online shopping. So I've been perusing quite a bit. So aside from just shopping on Amazon, I recently discovered that I enjoy clipping coupons on the Target Circle app. It's very random.
I haven't heard someone talk about coupons in a minute.
Hey, Target has those deals. If you're going to be one of the Target girlies, you have to clip the coupons. You have to.
So
yes.
funny. What's
Yes.
like the best coupon deal you feel like you just got recently? Or you're like, oh yeah.
Every now and again, they will have this 10% off of just a total purchase in store or online. That
Okay.
is a steal. Okay.
You're like from doing nothing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
1000%. Yeah.
I love that for you. I'm not a big like app store person, but I hear people talk about these kind of benefits and I'm like, just maybe they'll get me on one of these apps.
Maybe. Wishful thinking. I don't know.
Yeah.
You're a good steward of your money, so. I
No,
don't know
but
about
that's
that.
about being a good steward too, right? Like
True.
finding the good deals,
Yeah.
being intentional.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But thanks for sharing that. And like I told you all last week, I'm trying a new thing called podcast polls where I ask those who are following me on Instagram at aquia.yo a question pertaining to this week's episode. So this week, the question was, in waiting, where were your true friends revealed? Okay. And so 67% of y'all said yes.
Wow.
33% said still waiting on the verdict. So, Tyra, what do you think about these results?
Wow. Very much relatable. And I can say personally, my answer was yes, because I've experienced it that firsthand.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us can relate with that experience being specifically during COVID. So for me, that's where
that's a
mine
great point.
was. Actually coming out of COVID. So during COVID, I was thinking, okay, this is a bit, they're there. We're just in quarantine. But that was not the case. Coming out of it, I started to realize, where are my friends? So I was in this period of just being still and waiting for them to somewhat come to me, because I kept reaching out. And then I saw my friends not choosing me back. I'd be on social media, seeing them hanging with this friend, that friend. Oh, you had a whole boat day and did not invite me? That is a Floridian immediate no. Okay? Party foul. Flag on the play.
Yeah.
So that season of just waiting, it was not voluntary, I would say. God put me in that position to just be still and know and just wait and wait to be chosen back. And for those who didn't, okay.
They're missing out.
Yes.
Missing out.
Mm-hmm.
I can totally relate to that. I hadn't thought about it in that perspective, but definitely this sense of, you had to put extra effort with your friends and loved ones during COVID because you couldn't physically just say like, hey, let's meet up.
Yes.
And you definitely started to realize the people that would call, FaceTime, text first, and the ones that didn't, or the ones that even if you text them first, like minimal.
Absolutely. Yes.
Minimal engagement. I
Yes.
get that. Totally.
Yeah. Because speaking of someone who did reach out, it was you. You reached out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So in that season, it was very just lonely because I was forced to just reestablish friendships because my sister also got engaged. So it's just, oh my goodness, here's the shift of, okay, she's going to have a new best friend.
Right.
So I need to reestablish my tribe and my community. And you know what? You know who always texted back? You did. You want to know who brought me macaroons and flowers to celebrate just, what was it? Not even my birthday. And you hadn't even had macaroons before. It was you. So that is how we landed here today. Because although sisterhood did bond us, we still have been more intentional throughout our friendship. And I do appreciate that because, hey, the macaroons, those were the first of many. It's just so crazy.
And it's also wild. It goes to show like what people remember is just, it goes a long way. Like I honestly don't remember doing that, but clearly I did, and it left an impression,
Absolutely.
So wild. Absolutely wild. And I think it's just so fitting for like today, just talking about when you're in a season of waiting, what does that show you about yourself, about your life, and things like that. And I was thinking about like, okay, when I'm in a season of waiting, I felt like it showed me so much of who are my friends and what friends do I have for different things too.
Yes.
That was also a thing. So I'm just like, when I'm in a season of waiting, it shows me who's going to show up for different things. And that was like a very, I didn't desire that. Like I felt like I knew who my people were, but then like waiting was like, actually, I'm going to really show you who your people are.
Yes.
And I'm like, ooh, I didn't ask for that though.
Not at all. Not at all. It's a tough realization, and it feels like a heartbreak. Honestly, I'm going through this breakup that I was not prepared for. I did not anticipate this whatsoever. Yeah. And it is tough.
Yes. And I think also when you're in maybe like a season of transition and you maybe move somewhere or start a new job, like even in some ways I consider that a season of waiting to see like, are they gonna be the friend that like checks in on you, right? Or are they gonna be the friend that just like shows up at your house and like says like, hey girl, I'm spending the weekend, I want to know how things are going, and then just like the disappointment if they're not those things. I felt like that was really hard for me. It's like, okay, I saw who my friends were and I was like really sad to see some of the results.
Absolutely.
Because I was like, oh, I thought this was something that it wasn't. Yes. And just like realizing like, ooh, girl, you missed the mark big time.
That period of waiting, it's you getting to your core, but then also getting to the core of other individuals and just seeing, okay, where are we incongruent? Where do we actually align? And that realization of, oh, this isn't what I thought this was. It's just so painful because that is not something you anticipate in that season. You are already just sitting with yourself and having to reflect inwardly sometimes. It's just, that's a big enough task in itself. So you mean to tell me my means of support is not my true means of support, and I have to be vulnerable and look elsewhere or wait for that support to come to me? It's just, it was not a good feeling. But hey, I'm out of that period now. And I would say my tribe is great. And yes, they are. Sure. You all are absolutely the aunties, is what I call you all. Like we are established enough where you all will be my children's aunts. So that is where auntie we're status. At. Yes,
I'm here for it. Yes. No, for sure. And I think one of the things too, as I'm thinking of waiting, one thing that came up is like when I have conflict with a friend and that in between of when the conflict happened and when either of us decide to address it, whew, that one reveals friends too, because I've had a situation where I got into a conflict with a friend and it took months for myself to officially address it with her, but also that like in that wait, the fact that she never addressed it until I addressed it. Yeah. So it also like in the waiting for her to talk about it, I realized like, oh, I now have new information about you that I didn't know before, because it says something if we get in a conflict and it takes you maybe like a week to reach out to me and try to figure out to solve it. It's another thing when it's like been 2 years.
Oh, that part. Yes. Silence speaks volumes.
Yeah.
It does. Because you're letting me marinate. You cannot let me marinate.
Creating stories.
That is not good. Okay. That silence period, that just adds fuel to the fire. And I know I should not be like that, but that is how I am. I will.
But I feel like I don't know a single person that with time doesn't create stories. Like I actually try to tell people that all the time, that I'm like, that's why I'm so immediate with addressing conflict.
Absolutely.
Like I try to give people some space because I know everyone doesn't process in like 5 seconds.
Right.
But I'm also like, I'd rather almost always address it sooner rather than later.
Right.
Because if not, my brain gets time to create stories. And then I'm literally responding, having emotions to stories that are not real. Yeah. And I can acknowledge this, but my body is physically reacting to this because all I have is time.
Right.
I have nothing else but the stories I have in my head
and
whatever went down. Like that's why you have to show up to provide clarity in that. Absolutely. So when something has passed for like a week, 2 weeks, 2 years, that's telling me who you are. Absolutely. In a conflict when I'm in a friendship with somebody.
Absolutely. And that's tricky too, because I think, why can't I initiate the conversation? But in the capacity that I've experienced directly, I would say I wasn't the one with the issue. So if you're the one bringing the issue to me or creating the problem, and I'm just getting caught in the crosshairs, I would expect you to vocalize what caused you to behave this way. And then you're just choosing to leave this large gap of time where you're not speaking to me about X, Y, and Z. Why, when you were able to be so vocal about whatever it was in the first place, the story that you made up. So, yes.
I get that. Yeah. Like, I totally get that. And it's also been one of those things I wanted to talk to you about is when you're in a season of waiting, let's even say finding your person, your spouse, and seeing how your friends show up for you when you're in that season of waiting between when you meet them, when you're dating them, and when you get married. I feel like that's also very telling too. Like I see that as a season of waiting in terms of getting to not necessarily the end goal, but a milestone. Let's just say that. Like the marriage is the milestone.
Oh my goodness, yes. Your friends just really have to, you just see their true colors as well, because some don't always want to see you get to that end goal. So maybe they weren't your true friend to begin with, or maybe they're envious, but in certain, I can't relate to that. I'll just say that. But I will say also just seeing how your friends allow you to lean on them as well, but then also respect that shift in boundaries and expectations of them as a friend. Or maybe you as a friend, because if you're trying to prioritize this other individual, your honeydew that you're building towards, they're trying to build with, seeing how they show up really, really does make a difference. Just even seeing my sister's journey with her man and her husband. Okay, excuse me. It's just me as her best friend having to respect the shift, respect her boundaries, and then just support. Support in totality. So whatever she decides, whether she's mad at him, which is a very rare occasion, just knowing, girl, you love him, you're just angry right now, and just continue to push your friends towards that end goal. So that waiting period can also be a means of accountability. That can be a means of you being an example for your friends as well.
Right.
And just It's just all encompassing. It really is.
Yeah, that was one I thought about too, because I feel like, colors start showing in that season of waiting, like really maybe when you get engaged, when you get married.
Oh, yes.
I feel like I've seen those shifts. I've heard those stories where it's like, oh, people are starting to feel some type of way that before it was kiki ha ha when you were dating,
Yes.
Or another example is like that season of waiting from when you are working that crappy job and you get that dream job.
Yes.
Like even just that part of, because it's rough for you, maybe like you're maybe not the best person to hang out with because you're always annoyed coming from this job you hate, or money's more tight, so you're not able to go on these trips as much as you want. And just like seeing how people show up for you and that waiting meaning between you getting to this goal, which is to get this job that you enjoy more, that pays you better, to see how people show up. Like, do people pay for more trips, or are people mindful of like, let's do a cheaper trip, or just different things like that give you encouragement or something.
You use mindfulness, and that's so crucial in every aspect of the wait, the friendship, the working towards whichever goal, whether it's that relationship, whether it's that job. It's just, we have to realize the role in which we play in one another's lives. And being a good friend also involves being attentive to our friends' needs. So sometimes our friend might not even know that they're in that waiting period. They might not know that they're being an insufferable grouch. They might not know, but you can anticipate their needs because you know them. Like, you know your friends. So fill in those gaps while they're in that period, and maybe you might be the solution to making their wait a bit shorter, or at least making it a bit more tolerable.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a great point. I mean, I didn't really think about that, but that's why I brought you on here, because you got good stuff. And this girl brought notes, y'all. So I really, give me something juicy from these notes, something we can talk about, to just like add to this conversation of getting revealed who your friends are. And I also want to preface, while you're looking for something, that revealing who your friends are is not necessarily a negative connotation.
Right.
It can literally just be like, oh, you thought this was your going to brunch friend, working out friend, and church friend, but you found out, no, she's just your working out friend. Yeah. Or you thought that this was your person that you only went to church with, but then you find out like, oh no, this person can be more things. Like, they can occupy more places in my life. So I also want to preface, it's not a negative connotation. Sometimes it is. I feel like we talk about the ones that are more painful, when people have let us down, and we've seen ugly sides of friends that we were hoping we wouldn't. But it also can just be like more of a realization of like, oh, a better understanding of you and where I want to, for lack of better words, categorize you in my life, so that we're both mutually getting something out of this and both serving each other.
Absolutely. It's much easier to harp on the negative, but when we're in that waiting period, you really get to step back and remove yourself. And what is it? In isolation, we build the tools, and then in chaos and confusion, we put them into practice. So you're stepping back and you're building the tool in which is clarity, and you're able to see your friends in other capacities and other lights, and that you possibly didn't see them in, and see the magnificent talents they have or the magnificent roles they play in your life, and empower them to continue to uphold that capacity in your life, in their life. And then you're just locked in for life at that point, because you're like, oh, okay, you're not going anywhere, you're absolutely great. Like, I'm sorry I didn't see you for you, I didn't see you in your wholeness. Totality, whatever. But,
So what you got for us, Tyra?
I have, one of the quotes I have is, when you create space, it will be filled with divine energy.
Tell us more.
So it's like, waiting is not, let's just envision it. It could be dark, it could be light, but either way, it's just you're just waiting, you're just being still. And when you just sit still, you are creating that space around you to just be filled with goodness. Like you said, it's easy for us to just focus on the negative, or kind of associate the wait with a negative connotation. But if we're in this waiting period, we need to reflect and just accept up front, or set the tone that this waiting period is going to be something of abundance, of goodness, and of energy that I'm deserving of receiving. It doesn't have to be bad. At the end of this tunnel, only goodness is going to come. Only goodness is going to come. There will be light at the end of this.
I love that. That's such a great point, to just have an intentional mindset of your season of waiting, and that can show up in your friends. Like, okay, this may not have gone how I would hope, but how can I turn this new information that I know about my friend into a positive thing? Yes. And how can I better move and navigate and support this friend and also support myself? And I think we don't do that enough, of just like taking a beat.
Right.
And say, okay, how can I look at this from the optimistic perspective?
1000%.
And I feel like that's just such a great point of like, man, that sucks that God moved this person from my life and shifted them somewhere else. But funny enough, like as soon as he did that, it made room for someone who's better serving of that area of your life.
Right.
And I feel like that quote speaks to that so much.
It's uncomfortable. It really is an uncomfortable wait at times. And sometimes the wait also requires you to realize maybe you don't need to be in that person's life. So not God is removing them from your life. He's removing you from their life. Did I phrase that correctly? What I was trying to say?
I feel like okay. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not always necessarily a them being removed. It may be a you being removed. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Because, and then on the other hand, what if your friend is encouraging you to wait? So you're not initiating the wait on your end. They're the ones initiating that.
Yeah. That is a great point. Tyra, give us one more good thing as we're shifting here. Give us another. And then as you're finding something, I want to remind you all, the texting group is the new thing that can help us stay connected. And really, it's a chance to take this conversation and what we're building here outside of these episodes. So when you text join to the number 877-509-1404, you get in on the tea. You get to be a part of something that's more than the episodes and be able to be a part of this community. And it's the dopest, coolest texting group community. So
no, it absolutely is, because regardless of the tech community, let me tell you, your podcasts are very spot on and very timely. I don't know, whatever the Lord is doing, the Lord is working through you, because I knew when I heard what the episode before last, you used Isaiah 41:10, my favorite Bible verse. I said, oh yeah. God has just blessed her mic. He has covered her. He is using you as a vessel. And I'm not saying that because I'm your friend and to toot your horn, but whatever, I navigate things in silence. And so being able to be uplifted and seeking, I don't know, just an escape. But and then in that escape, I'm being affirmed, and God is just dropping this gem through you. It's just so beautiful.
I'm happy.
The timeliness. So
yeah, I'm happy that it's helpful.
Text thread's going to be amazing. Okay, because unintentionally you are very intentional.
I'll speak to that moment.
Yes. So it'll be great.
I'm glad.
It'll be so great. So I did have a verse that I've been reading. I've been reading Proverbs as of late for Bible study, and Proverbs 18:24. One who has unreliable friends soon come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. So I was Googling, and there are definitely mixed reviews on the messaging of it and the meaning behind it, but just off of face value, okay, friends come and go, but God is constant. Okay, right. So if you're going to be in a waiting period and you're going to solely just feel like it is you, and maybe you just don't want to welcome your friends at this moment because you need to sit with yourself, God is absolutely there. He sticks closer than a brother, sister, mother, father. Like, God is in you, so you are never alone in that waiting period.
I mean, I feel like that's a great place to end. That is a great place to end with this message and what we've really talked about here. And then, you know, we can shift gears and dive into like one of my favorite parts of these episodes. And I'll start with what I'm looking forward to this week. So I'm really looking forward to being able to just decide last minute what I'm going to do this weekend, because I know this will not always be a season where I can just wake up when I want to wake up, go where I want to go, eat what I want to eat. So I'm just marinating in that. That's just been, I'm like, yeah.
That sounds like a new thread. No more adventures with Avis, adventures with Aquia. Okay, stay tuned, y'all.
You know, when you wake up in the morning, that's when you know.
Yes,
you know?
just winging it.
Mm-hmm.
The weather has been beautiful lately, and we have to take advantage.
Exactly. So what are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to a writer's workshop that I attend.
Nice.
Here in Tampa, Kitchen Table Literary Arts. They're a Black nonprofit that just the intent is to create a safe space for Black female writers and aspiring authors, creatives. Yes, and they have free workshops that involve writing your query letters, editing, revising, free writing, getting over your writer's blocks, and it's just really, the writer's room has been my safe haven as of late, so I really look forward to that.
That sounds incredible. That's a free resource that this nonprofit has like intentionally designed and is serving a community. That's so exciting. I love that for you. And also, I just finished reading Exodus in the Bible, and now I'm on Leviticus. And it's been a ride. It's been really interesting to see a different side of God. I feel like in the church, on social media, in your family, we talk about this very loving side of God. And he has a wrath. Like, he is no joke. And it's a little like, okay. But it's been great to just learn that God is so dynamic. He is not one-sided, and just be able to learn it more deeply and intentionally. So I'm intrigued to see what's next in Leviticus and just unpack it more and understand it from this adult perspective.
I'm intrigued to see how you continue to just give us the scoop and the 411 on what you've read, because I just love it.
I'm just really be blown. Like, I literally will look at my husband. I was like, babe, this is what I read in verse da-da-da. He was like, what? And I was like, look, I'm telling you, the drama, especially in Genesis, like, if you want drama, you don't have to watch no reality show. You don't even have to watch Love is Blind. Just go read Genesis.
God is more clever with his shady boots than Mary Crosby, that housewife from Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Whatever. You'll have to look up like a Mary Crosby reel or her jabs. Yes, they are very skilled in the art of being eloquently putting their jabs.
I believe it. I believe it. So what are you reading of late?
Ooh, right now I'm on Audible. Okay. I've been listening to The Mothers by Britt Bennett, who also wrote The Vanishing Half, and I read through The Vanishing Half in 2 days. Oh, wow. Could not put it down. That's great. So The Mothers has been really good. I've been really enjoying it. I would say it's giving me perspective of just all facets of the mothers, quote unquote, in the church, being having lived this life, and then having the young women who just don't want to listen to them, and they're like, no, he loves me, this type of thing. So just perspective on all ends. So it's been a really good listen so far.
Okay,
and of course
nice.
The
good drama. Yes. We like it when it's in a book, just not our lives.
Oh yeah, 1000%. That's why I stick to writing it and not living it.
I feel you. Yes. I feel you, Tyra. Yes. So if you all have a friend who's going through a season of figuring out who their friends are, they're in this season of waiting, share this episode with them so that they can maybe get some insight revealed to them. And like always, make sure to subscribe to this podcast, get on this journey and this ride of getting to understand yourself a little bit better. And thank you so much for listening to this episode. Thank you so much, Tyra, for joining me today. And until next time.
Thank you.
Look at you. You stayed with me to the end. You're the best. Good thing is, it doesn't have to stop here. Dive into another episode and continue the ride.